It looks very sunny on the
Wow.
golf course behind you.
Yeah, that's we got Castle Pines behind us. So if you know, they
Mm.
used to hold a PGA Tour event there, the International, which was a Stableford tournament.
Yeah, cool. Thanks for joining us. I gave a brief description of how TUGR came into existence. Um, if you want to go ahead and give us the 30,000 foot overview in 30 seconds.
Yeah, quick overview. Thanks for having me on. So we are a golf rankings and analytics company. We came about in 2022, sort of when OWGR started changing their formula and didn't feel like they were capturing the whole golf universe in an accurate way. And we felt like we were a solution that could step in and help. So we launched our professional rankings, and that sort of ran us through 2023, and recently we launched in the junior space as well. So we cover both the professional space, we cover the junior space, and we do rankings and analytics in what we like to say an unbiased, all-inclusive, and accurate way. Because at TUGR we don't see tours, we see players. So it's a completely unbiased way to go about ranking golfers.
Yeah,
You
the way
say
it should
we're,
be.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly the way it should be.
Yeah.
Yeah. You say we are a data and or a rankings and analytics company. This is a part-time job for you guys. You guys have real careers too.
We do have real jobs. So this is a part-time job right now, but it is quickly growing, which is really fun. So lot of growth and a lot of opportunities. And so we see 24 as a really fun year to see where we can take this.
I guess for the
Um,
sake of our, sorry, Jerry, for the sake of our
no,
listeners, maybe you can give us a quick, uh, in a nutshell, how you guys are different from OWGR and how you actually do those numbers, just for people who maybe might not understand how rankings work, and just kind of explain that for us.
Yep, yeah. So 30,000 foot view, there's sort of three ways you can go about ranking golfers. There's a points-based approach, which is what OWGR is. They assign points based on finish place. There are multi-factor ranking systems out there. And then we are on the other side of the spectrum, we're a performance-based system. So it's based on head-to-head relative scores. And so we have this big matrix inside our computer that matches the head-to-head scores of every golfer against every other golfer that they play. And then we can stack rank them based on that performance. And so it just ends up being a more pure output because it's based on performance, not based on a made-up point system that someone created. And then they have to figure out weightings that may or may not be accurate.
the way I try and explain it to people is everybody else who's come into the space to try and at least fairly rank golfers, regardless of where they play, and not be beholden to basically the PGA Tour, which the OWGR has been for the longest time. Every time they change the rules, it only benefits the PGA Tour side of things, to the point now where you can't qualify for majors if you don't play on the PGA Tour, if you weren't already up there in the world rankings. Yours is more of what I call a worldwide handicapping system. There's no subjectivity to it. There's no weighting for, or given more points for the tournament, for the quality of the field, because you are ranking me against you and you against Sue-Ann and me against Sue-Ann. You do that through the cloud a gazillion times. It becomes a worldwide handicapping system. Is that fairly simplistic way to put it?
It's a simplistic way to put it, and it's a more accurate way. So we actually did an analysis in the junior space. And what was interesting is the top 1,000 junior boy golfers, they all have handicaps in that +2 to +3 range. So they're very, very stacked. But when you look at the TUGR rankings, we can show that there's anywhere from a 4 to 6 stroke difference between the top 100 players and the top 1,000 players, just because of the way the handicap formula works. And this is just a more pure output. So simplistically, yes, it's what you said, but it actually drills it down and it becomes even more pure. And so when you look at our rankings, the number one golfer in the world is always benchmarked at 0. And then the number you see next to it is just how many strokes per round more does that player shoot compared to the best player in the world.
It's really cool. Have you looked at it all,
Yeah.
Sue? Have you looked at the rankings? Have you browsed through them?
I saw, yeah, the one that you sent. It is really, really interesting. I mean, there's some that I really like. They match the OWGR, like your ROMs, your Kepkas. But then there's some that the discrepancy is so big. I mean, Dean Burmester on the OWGR, he's 130th in the world. On TUGR, he's 30th, which to me, just watching him play, obviously this season, but also then him winning twice in the off season, really truly reflects how good of a player he is.
And the thing
There's no question he's a top 50 player in the world.
Yeah, the thing that's great, what I love, you can click into any player on the site and get some advanced analytics. Dean's a great case study, and I love Dean because he plays everywhere, right? I think one of the misnomers that we try and educate people on is that there's a false or a misunderstanding that live golfers don't play anywhere else, right? And that's just factually inaccurate, right? So Dean's a great example. He's played over the last 12 to 18 months, he's played against over almost 800 different competitors across all the tournaments that he's entered in. And the PGA Tour average is about 450. So he's played almost double the number of competitors in the same 18-month period as the average PGA Tour player. And that just strengthens the output because he has more relative connections to the whole golfing world.
One guy who doesn't play a lot outside of LIV is number OWGR 644 in the world. TUGR, I think a far more accurate ranking of 16. Of course, that's the guy we all heard about yesterday, our time, Jeff, that kind of raised a lot of eyebrows as something that might be perceived as monumental in the game. That's Taylor Gooch getting a special invite to the PGA Championship. From your perspective, because you're a much more independent voice than we are, because we work for LIV and we're fans of LIV and we love the product, we love the business model, we love everything about it. We think all our players should be ranked the top 54 in the world, for crying out loud. That's how biased we are. You're an independent voice. What message do you think that sends to the golf space and to the OWGR?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I posted this on X yesterday. To me, it was a monumental exemption that was given out because even at the Masters and even with the exemptions given to Niemann and Puig, you could justify that was because of their play outside of LIV. And really, that was talked up a lot. Oh, he did this. Oh, he did that. And that's what got him there. I mean, there's really nothing you can point to with Taylor except that he was the best player on LIV last year, right? And he won 3 times, is that correct? And that was his play. So it was obviously he obviously didn't get his exemption based off of his OWGR ranking, right? That would make no sense. And he probably doesn't play enough outside of LIV to point to certain tournaments. And so it was clearly a nod to his play on LIV. Interestingly enough, he still plays a fair amount. He played in majors last year. He played in some tournaments. I'm looking at his analytics right now. He's played over 470 different competitors over the last 18 months. He's right there on par with the number of competitors who he's played against as the average PGA Tour player. So it's not like he hasn't played anyone, and the numbers stack up.
It's so fascinating to me hearing your perspective because so many people on X, as I'm sure you've experienced, just have very uninformed opinions about.
You think?
Yeah, about rankings and I mean, Taylor's been, I mean, even this season he's playing some phenomenal golf. And I mean, he's up against a pretty stacked field on LIV. So I mean, as Jerry said, we're biased and we think that all of our players are amazing. But I mean, Taylor, for one, to win 3 last season with that field is incredible. And we always say he deserves to be in the majors. Always. He's one of the guys that are the most, I guess, controversial, I think, when it comes to the major championships.
Yep. Yeah, and I said this earlier in my intro, but that's why I love our approach because we don't see tours, right? We just see players. And so we are tour agnostic. We are looking through, and sometimes people ask us if Scotty Scheffler, #1 player in the world, I think that's pretty undisputed right now. If he decided he wanted to play on the Asian Tour or the Challenge Tour for the rest of his life, if that's just where he chose to play his golf, could he still be the #1 golfer via our ranking systems? And the answer is yeah. If he goes out and he's winning every tournament by 4 or 5 shots and he's showing that relative strength, you could. could you be the #1 golfer in OWGR if you chose to play your golf on the Challenge Tour?
Hell
You
no.
couldn't, because the
Yeah.
the point system wouldn't allow you to do that. And so, but that, like, the system shouldn't do that. If someone chooses, and that's what we've talked about with Live throughout the course of the few years, is people can take their services wherever they want. And if they choose to go play somewhere else, that shouldn't punish them from a rankings perspective. We should, in the 21st century, be smart enough to figure out how to rank golfers throughout the world.
Where do you see the future of all this, you know, in terms of rankings?
That's a great question. I see the OWGR as one of the governing bodies, right? I mean, I posted about this yesterday. To me, what the PGA Championship did is monumental, because it just showed, I don't know if you call it a crack in the system or them breaking off. To me, the PGA Championship has always been viewed as sort of the fourth of the four majors. So they have everything to gain by making sure that their field is awesome and is the best. And so them doing this is a huge step forward in making sure. And I actually saw a video today that Mike Wan, the CEO of the USGA, he said that if there is no merger, he sees a situation where the USGA creates live exemptions for the US Open. And I think that hit the airways today. So I think people are coming around to it. Now, what happens with the greater rankings, right? I mean, we're equally as interested in, Live being fairly ranked as we are all golfers being fairly ranked, whether that's the Japanese tour or the Asian tour or everything. We hope that we can be an influence in some way, shape, or form.